in the report. So what happened is that then the leadership don't need to kind of run around and talk with 5 different guys, but they need to just work with one single person to gather further information about the incident as if required. So one tips I would like to kind of uh, share with you is that when you prepare documentation, definitely keep it in layman terms and kind of see the document not just from your side. Okay, and you might think that okay, the document is good, but try to observe that document from a leadership side in your mind, and see like if it is lacking something. Treat yourself that okay, you are not tech savvy, you don't have the technical cyber technical knowledge, so treat that document as such, and then try to see that from another perspective. uh, then you will get a new perspective. Okay, if there's anything missing, like if there are any technical jargons that we have mentioned in the document that we need to kind of remove out. Okay, so keep doing that. And the best documents are those where the leadership has no further questions to ask. So if let's say you generated a report and let's say there was no question asked from the leadership, even though you spent it like hours and hours of the work, so don't think that kind of the leadership had not seen the report and it doesn't matter to them. Treat that as the leadership has seen the report. Okay, and the document was such as in a clear format, the leadership has no further questions to ask, and treat that as a good uh, kind of good feedback for your team. Okay, so these are things like tips I would like to share. Now every incident has some incident ID. So basically every team has their own incident management ticket portal. So the ticket ID would kind of go incident ID, and so this is something we can fill it. Now the template that comes up is the executive summary. So what we do is like in this section, so this is something which you will see in most of the template. Like all the organization will definitely follow this section. So the executive summary will be on the top. And what it does, it provides a high level overview of the incident that include the impact of the organization. So what happened is that in most of the time, why this executive summary is on top is because most of the time leadership guys are really busy. They will not have a time to kind of go through the other steps over here. What they will do, what they will favor is that they have an executive summary for them, which is like not that technical, and it provide, and if they quickly read that paragraph, let's say the paragraph is of like let's say 10 lines max, they can quickly get an idea okay what the incident is going to happen, and is there any need to kind of give more attention to the other details. So executive summary should be a high level overview of the incident. That will also include the impact analysis, like what impact it has on the organization. So once that's done, so let's say uh, the company kind of faced a ransomware attack. So we can mention something like we experienced a ransomware attack on, let's say, 15th May 2023 that resulted in kind of temporary shutdown of several key systems. You can also mention like overall that we estimated a loss of approximately 8 hours of operation capability with potential financial implication. So just this. Okay, there is no further kind of need to kind of specify more about that incident in a executive summary. It's just that this incident happened on this date. This is the impact that kind of has happened, and uh, let's say if you have recovered from the incident, you just mentioned we have recovered from the incident now, and the recovery time, let's say they can easily deduce from that okay, you are saying the report on 17th of May, the incident happened on 15th of May, so 2 days time was taken to kind of handle that incident. Now you go to the incident details where you mention the date and time of the incident, um, uh, and then the date and time of discovery. So these are two important things. So let's say you discovered the incident on 15th of May, but when you did the analysis, you found out that that incident actually happened on 1st of January 2023. So you need to specify that what is the accurate date when that incident was discovered and when that incident actually happened. Okay, this will help the leadership to know what's the dwell time. They will come up with a question why there was a massive gap between when that incident happened and when that it was kind of discovered. Then you kind of specify the incident type, actually the nature of the incident. So let's say it's a ransomware incident, a ransomware attack, or let's say just a data exfiltration attack. And then you specify in overall system like what are the affected systems. So let's say you can say like, okay, the ERP system or customer relation manager system CRM was kind of impacted because of this ransomware attack. You can also specify the team name, like this, like let's say the HR department team of this particular geography. Let's say India HR team was impacted out of that. So you can just mention the affected system, application, or teams. So you can add one more section over here, teams, and you can specify that. Now, the third section in the document will be incident discovery and response, like how you discovered that. So you can say that, okay, SOC team got an alert from, let's say, SIEM tools. Okay, so you can specify that what the method of discovery, and then what the immediate response action that you took. So you can say that, okay, for this ransomware attack, systems were disconnected from the network to contain the spread of the ransomware. Just one liner, and this is one of the immediate response action that you take. And then you can kind of proceed with specifying more details about the incident. If someone has more time, they can kind of read about that. So which will be like incident analysis. What is the, like, how the attack, details of the attack factor. So one of the example that you can say that the attack factor was phishing email with malicious attachment. So readers will quickly know that, okay, the attacker came in via a phishing email, and it was not something like they exploited a vulnerability to come in into a system. So this is something you can kind of mention. Now, the vulnerability exploited. So you can also mention like what kind of vulnerability they exploited, if in case the attack factor was a vulnerability in a system. So let's say if there's a vulnerability, let's say an SMB vulnerability. So you can say SMB vulnerability was as exploit vector, attack vector, and then you can explain a little bit more about SMB vulnerability, like that it provided a remote code execution access to the unauthorized party. Okay, now what assets were compromised? You can just say ERP, let's say CRM systems, or uh, let's say 10 Windows host of this team. So you can mention that. Then you can also mention was there a data breach? So you can say yes or no. So most of the cases, what happens when there's ransomware incident, there is always a case where before the data was encrypted, the attacker actually copies the data to their servers so that they can sell it to the dark web to earn extra profit. Okay, and you can also say what kind of data were involved, like operational data, was the classification, was it highly confidential. So why the reason to mention this is that this will give an idea to leadership that, okay, if there's scenario where they need to kind of pay the ransom amount to the attacker, should they do it or not? So if the data is like confidential, leadership can decide, okay, let's not give the ransom payment to the ransomware, and let's accept that, okay, certain data were uh, kind of encrypted, and let's explore like if we can kind of do a backup of those data from somewhere. Okay, but if it's like highly confidential or restricted, in most cases, most of the organization, what they do is like they actually pay the ransom amount. Okay, now mitigation and recovery. So this is again one of the topic where we need to kind of tell the leadership that what are the measures we have taken now to mitigate this similar incident going forward. So we can say that, okay, the systems were restored, the software were kind of patched properly, and we updated our antivirus signatures, for an example. So these are the mitigation actions that we can kind of mention. Recovery action, you can say that if that kind of incident is already ongoing, it has not completed, you can say that the recovery action is kind of ongoing. And current system, you can say that, okay, it is partially operational or fully operational, you can just say that. Okay, now a recommendation. So this is something which is very, very important, and this recommendation not just go to the leadership, it also goes to the service team who were impacted by that. So let's say the HR team was impacted. So there will be recommendation for them to, like, what they can do to avoid that situation in future. So one of the things you can mention is that to the HR team that the recommended steps are uh, give proper training to your employees into how they can kind of detect a phishing email in a much better way. So and ask them to kind of pass the certain test of kind of uh, detecting a successful phishing email. Okay, so these are some of the recommendations that you can give. And in the attachments, there's another called attachment section. So if anyone would like to kind of have more deeper analysis, or let's say this report is going to a third party, what you can attach a link to all